Exomologiste to Kyrio te agathos, alleluia.
Otis ton neona to eleos aftu, alleluia.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, there are a number of people in this society, and I suspect that this brother's one of them, who read a little and think that they know a lot. Dionysus was the Greek god, the Roman god of pleasure and chaos. He's celebrated by Nietzsche. There is no connection between Dionysus and Christian belief in Dionysus. Sorry, my apologies. Christian belief in Jesus Christ and Dionysus. They are completely different visions of deity, in completely different frameworks of deity. And anyone who says that Dionysus is connected to Jesus doesn't know what they are talking about.
Nothing.
Any other questions? Do you want to debate? On camera. Come in then.
You can do it.
Come in.
You can do it.
Come in. He's taking his coat off. It's getting serious. Think it's time to roll it, pull up the sleeves. Doing some work today.
So okay, we'll time it then, yes?
Shall we do 2 minutes, 3 minutes? Can we have a clock?
Yeah, I think 2 minutes should be fine.
2 minutes, 2 minutes. Could we get a clock?
So,
We haven't got a clock yet.
I don't have a phone. I don't have a phone, guys.
Someone willing to time, please.
The auntie, I think.
No.
Hello, Bob.
Auntie. Nothing? No time? Anybody can time it, no?
Right, we'll just have to work it out as best as we can. 2 minutes, 2 minutes.
okay, sure. Okay, so,
Let's do this. Let's make it 2 points, 2 points. So you make 2 points, make
I
2
think
points.
it's better to time it because
All right.
it's easy.
Okay, anyway, go on.
Roughly. Okay.
Go on.
So, the question is there a link between Dionysus and Jesus? It's not just Jesus, by the way. There is an early Dionysus who is linked to Moses, and there is a later Dionysus who is linked to Jesus. So we're not just talking about Jesus, we're talking about both Moses and Jesus. So the question is there a link between Jesus and Dionysus? You're correct that in ancient Rome, the most popular statue is not any emperor. That's a myth. The most popular statue in any museum on covering ancient Rome is actually Dionysus. Dionysus was the most popular religion in the ancient world, and that reflects both Hellenic culture, Athenian culture, and Greek culture generally, and that is also true of Roman culture, who inherited this from the Greeks. So the question is there a link between the two? Now, there is this thing, I'm sure many learned Christians here, I've been even for coffees with them afterwards, and I'm surprised how many of them knew this, and they were even greater experts than me on this. In fact, agreed, a lot of your colleagues...
You're coming up to 2 minutes, bro.
Yes, agreed that...
Thank you.
There are similarities between the Passion of Christ, that is Jesus Christ, and the Passion of Dionysus, where we know the Passion of Dionysus precedes that of Jesus by up to 1,000 years. So that's the point. That's the question.
Okay, ready for my 2 minutes? Can you come in a bit, sister, and just let us see the clock?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
I'll reset it now.
Right, go. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, you heard the question being restated. You heard some statements about what he believes, but did you hear any evidence? No, neither did I. So what you need to listen to very carefully is evidence. Here's what needs to be shown. You need to show clearly that Christians built their story of Jesus upon Dionysus' story. That's what you've got to show. Which means that you've got to understand the story of Jesus, show that it is the same story of Dionysus, and then show that the stories of Dionysus were accessible, and listen to the next bit because this is crucial, and were indeed accessed by the apostles that wrote the New Testament. So I'm going to lay out for you the story of Jesus. Jesus is the incarnate Logos of God, born into the world to herald and to bring in the kingdom of God in fulfillment of the prophecies of the Old Testament that speak about a coming Messiah that will establish the kingdom of God on earth, and that kingdom of God will go out throughout all the world, and that all the nations will be drawn into that kingdom. And that he does this by conquering the principalities and powers of this world, the God of this world, the prince of this world, Satan, by his death and his resurrection, that conquers death and sets us free from sin to work for the kingdom of God. Show me that Dionysus has that story. 2 minutes.
Okay, Bob. Yeah. Okay. By the way, we forgot to shake hands at the beginning. Yeah. Yes, I agree. It's very important that we have evidence. But if you listen carefully, you'll forget that there is this thing called empirical evidence, and the frequency of statues dug up from the ground and then exhibited in museums is called empirical evidence. And statisticians use this in order to draw conclusions. In fact, the whole of AI is built on this, Bayesian statistics. So that was evidence, and I hope you do acknowledge that there is evidence that says that Dionysus was the most popular religion in ancient Rome, preceding the popularity of Christianity. So another piece of evidence, I agree that we do need evidence, and that's why, as a very learned Christian, and I know from your colleagues, that these guys have the Bible memorized, they have the gospel memorized, they have the church fathers memorized. They're very, very highly educated in this area. And so one of the people that they've all read is Justin Martyr, who lived from about 100 AD to about 165 AD. And Justin Martyr happens to mention, so he's one of the earliest church fathers, by the way. He precedes Clement of Alexandria by over 100 years. He happens to say that there is this problem. There is a very significant parallel between the life of Jesus and the life of Dionysus. In fact, he draws a comparison between the Passion of Christ and the Passion of Dionysus, a 1-week period, which is the sort of mission, the messiahship, if you like to put it that way, of these individuals. And he is a devout Christian. So Justin Martyr is a church father, one of the earliest ones. He's a devout Christian. He goes from the Palestine region to the Rome, and he sets up the church in Rome, one of the earliest churches there. And he's actually allowed to do that.
Time!
And he sacrificed Christianity.
Right. Ladies and gentlemen, oh, you haven't started. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hand up if you heard a shred of evidence. I heard references to statues. Gee whiz, there are statues of Dionysus. What does that prove? Nothing. And I heard, ladies and gentlemen, a vague reference to Justin Martyr, saying that Justin Martyr said that there's some parallel to Dionysus and Jesus, but I didn't hear a quote. I didn't hear a reference. So we are still at zero evidence, ladies and gentlemen. And I want to hear what the evidence is. But also, let's be clear, we're not looking for the evidence of Justin Martyr's opinions. We're looking for evidence that the writers of the New Testament based their story on Dionysus, and that they could access the stories of Dionysus, and that the story of Dionysus mirrors that of Jesus and was a precursor to it. I have heard no evidence of any of those points whatsoever. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I want to point out something to you. Speaker's Corner attracts people that have large egos and large amounts of pride in their own intellect. Quasi-intellectuals, most of them are Gnostics, ladies and gentlemen. And I fear that this is just another one of those debates of somebody who's read a little and then thinks he knows a lot. Do you think, ladies and gentlemen, that this theory, if it was true, would not be something being discussed by every scholar in every generation all the time? But I've never heard this before in my life until today. I have to go at 5 and that is a hard stop.
Okay, so that's in 4 minutes.
Yeah, so 2 more rounds. So your final statement.
Okay, so I'm going to come to some quotes. So basically, Justin Martyr, 100 to 165 AD, similarities between Jesus and Dionysus. Clement of Alexandria, the most famous of all the church fathers, 150 to 215 AD, similarities between Jesus and Dionysus. Origen, highly respected church father, 184 AD to 253 AD, similarities between Jesus and Dionysus. Eusebius, commissioned by the Emperor Constantine as the ultimate church father, institutionalizes Christianity for the Roman Empire as the official religion of the Roman Empire. The first pope is commissioned. Eusebius, there are similarities between Jesus and Dionysus. So great is the problem that there's a famous quote. It's called diabolical mimicry. So what has actually happened is the people who follow Dionysus have somehow anticipated Jesus. They follow almost exactly the same story. They even worship the cross, and they have Dionysus on the cross. In fact, it was as popular as Jesus. There was a period where they were both equally popular. Dionysus on the cross and Jesus on the cross. So they invented this term called diabolical mimicry. All 4 of these authors mention it. And this is how they explain how it is possible that Dionysus predates Jesus and is almost identical to Jesus.
Still got time?
Got time.
Yeah, you can respond.
Right, hold on 1 second. Just pause if you bear with us 1 minute. Right, are you ready? Right, guys, let me just show you how ignorant this man is. Firstly, he's not talking about Dionysus. Let me help him. He's talking about Apollonius of Tyranna, ladies and gentlemen. And the document that talks about Apollonius of Tyranna comes after the Gospels, not before the Gospels. It is a direct imitation of the Christ story written by later Roman authors as a way of trying to combat the success of the Christian story. It is not connected to Dionysus. Secondly, did you hear any evidence? Yes. Neither did I. All I heard, don't interrupt, pause my time. Pause my time. Can you rewind it back 10 seconds? Right. Count to 10 and then press play. Count to 10 and then press play. Listen, don't interrupt. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm glad this is a short debate because I do get annoyed by people who think that they know a lot when they know very little. Dionysus is not who we're talking about. We're talking about Apollonius of Tyranna, and he didn't give any evidence, ladies and gentlemen. Zero. He just gave another list of claims, and he gave no evidence for those claims. All you have heard in the last 15 minutes is claim, backed up by claim, backed up by claim, and you have heard zero evidence, ladies and gentlemen. But do we Christians have evidence? Yes, we do. The story of Jesus Christ predates that of Apollonius Tyrannus. The Gospels are written by 90 AD, and they talk about Christ's crucifixion. I am yet to hear any document by anyone, especially this guy, who predates the Gospel, showing a crucified Messiah called Dionysus of the Jews, who rises again. Thank you very much. Right, I gotta go.
Okay.
Look, it was lovely talking to you.
Good to meet you.
Good to meet you as well. How are
You're
you?
very good at what you do. Very good.
Brother, I want to encourage you, and I don't know if you'll take my advice. But you really need to have some humility, because you don't know as much as you think you do.
Oh, that's true. We all do.
You really don't know,
That's what I
right?
think we do, yes.
So I want to give you a gift to try and help you to know something, okay?
Yeah.
And it's an introduction to Christian theology.
Okay.
So
I have a lot of books on Christianity.
get to know. Well, there's another
I
one.
have five
Yeah.
Bibles.
Get to know the Christian story, right? And please, for your own sake, before you come to try to debate stuff,
Right.
learn to argue. Here's how you argue.
Right.
You make a claim, you present your evidence for your claim.
Right.
What you don't do is make a claim and then try to back it up with another claim, and then try to back that up with another claim to which you don't use any evidence. It also helps.
I've worked in law, my friend.
It's failing you. Probably explains why our court system's so rubbish.
Very good idea
Yeah.
of what evidence.
Well, I'm afraid you didn't use any today. You look after yourselves. I've got to go.
All right, anyway, very well
God
done.
bless you all.
Well done. It was a good debate.
Want to say hi, share the link up.
Any others?
Thanks again. Thanks.
Read that book. Get back into it.
Okay, I'll bring it back as well.